Hey everybody, it's Mike from the HomeHappy Team here with your new rate synopsis for December 2025. It's the end of 2025 and the Bank of Canada chose not to drop the overnight rate, which would affect our prime rate. They used the recent job numbers and a few other things to kind of say that, well, they're not sure if we're in a recession or if we're actually stronger economically than we think. I think all of us know that we're not that strong economically, but and I think it would have been a smarter move to make a cut because people in general that are either paying their mortgage in a variable or looking to buy into the market would have felt more comfort knowing that the Bank of Canada is trying to help. Instead, they're hedging their bets, saving it, and I'll get into that in a second. But this report here, I mean, these numbers just to show you. Way back in March of 2022, we were down at the overnight rate was down at about 0.5%. It went all the way up to 5% in July of 2023. And then in May of 2024, they started to ease that rate down. And we're currently now at 2.25, which translates to a prime rate of 4.45. So we have seen some drop, which is good. But I think, as I've mentioned before, we don't really think we're in a strong economic environment. And generally, they use prime to control the economic environment. However, inflation is affecting things, but you can see inflation's pretty well come under control. It's sitting here. The last number was in October at just over 2%. Their number is 3%. Of course, they find reasons why that number isn't quite what it says. So, in general, what does that mean for us? Well, 2025 was a good year in terms of rates coming down a little bit more, which is good. But going into 2026, there's a lot of uncertainty. That's what the Bank of Canada is sort of talking about in their report. We feel that they're hedging their bets. And the reason they're going to sit at 2.25 right this second, even though they're saying, oh, potentially they could be raising it if things change. But the reality is we're in the midst of a tariff war with the U.S., which we're not winning. We're not even negotiating. In July, our CUSMA agreement, which has kept most of our goods at a reasonable or zero tariff, is going to come into it's being negotiated between now and then. In all likelihood, Trump is not going to come up with a deal that we're going to want to sign. So if CUSMA dies in July, we're facing massive tariffs on almost all of our exports. That's going to cause our economy to slow down even more. And that's why I think they're hedging their bets and holding on to the overnight rate, because there's not very far to move from 2.25 down to the 0.5% emergency number that we were at previously. So in our estimate, we believe prime will be going down at least 0.25% to 0.5% in 2026, possibly even lower based on what happens with those negotiations. Obviously impossible to tell exactly. This all points to having flexibility again with your mortgage. 5-year fixed rates just recently blipped up 0.25% because of some of this news. Expect that to happen. We're going to see blips of 0.25 up and 0.25 down, and bond yields, which is what the fixed rates are based on, are going to go up and down. A lot of that has to do with the U.S. stock market, with how the markets judge things occurring. People move into bonds because they're safe, and then they move out of bonds when they want to make money in the stock market. So it's a flow back and forth game. Our expectation is we're going to see prime, like I said, going down. We're going to see fixed rates hover around where they are between 4.5% down to 4%, possibly even lower if the economy starts to slow down a lot more. So long term, we don't see any real pressure on rates going up very far. I know the media hypes every time that there's any change going upwards in rates, and they recently did that. But our overall feel is that if you have a flexible mortgage, particularly a variable rate or an adjustable rate mortgage, those are going to allow you to ride this out, to look at options of locking in down the road if things do change. But also, if you need to get out of that mortgage, it's only ever a 3-month interest penalty. So that's huge. So we believe in talking to you, having a strategy based on what your needs are. Let's have a chat. It's 15 minutes. We can make sure that you're on the right track or you're not. And that's really what it's about, is making sure that you feel good about where you're going. And that's about it. Thanks very much, and have a wonderful holiday season.